Welcome to the Slade Ham experiment. I know I've been off for a whole week and I didn't want to punt for another week. So we're going to I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to not punt, but also punt. So I'm here in Toronto. I've been in Ontario. It's a 2-week run. So I will be in Ottawa the week that you are seeing this. If you happen to see this and you're Canadian and want to make your way to a show, you should do so. I'll be playing absolute comedy in Ottawa. But I've also been a little distracted. I almost didn't make it on this trip. Most of you know that Houston had another hurricane and things flooded and I barely made it out of the city and I didn't get a chance to get an episode out before we left. These things bother me when I don't follow through, when I don't finish something. It shouldn't, but it does. So I thought, you know what, this week I can't do a full episode. I'm enjoying a rainy day off in Toronto. It's been very peaceful, and I've been writing diligently away at my book, and I just don't want to break stride. So for those of you keeping track, I'm now at 35,000 words. I'm just like, the pace is certainly going to slow down at some point, but not yet. So I'm going to go back to work on that. But I also thought, what a great opportunity for me to revisit some old Slade Runner episodes where I've come through Canada. So I've got some footage from Ottawa, some old stand-up footage, some looks at one of my most favorite places in the world, the Dominion Arboretum around Dow's Lake. And then we'll come back and we'll talk about Toronto. But ignore my fat face in this video. You can tell when I was in worse shape, it was a little thick. I got some Charlie Brownness underneath the beard. But I also had more brown in the beard. These are some good times from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. So the first club I ever played internationally was in Ottawa. Just on the other side of Dow's Lake in Little Italy, there is a club called Absolute Comedy. And it's the first place I ever played that wasn't the United States, that wasn't a military base. So I was terrified too. I thought Canadians were so different. And I do a month in Canada every year. I have for the last decade. And every time I come up, the same idiot friends who've never been anywhere say the same thing. They go, I can't believe you're going up there to hang out with those people, man. They freeze to death, they sit in igloos, they eat seal. They're basically snow Mexicans. I'm like, wait a second. That is a horrible, why would you stereotype a group of people you've never met or visited in your entire life? That's so dumb. And then I get up here and you guys are all like, oh, with your guns in the street back home. She can't see much now. But I've got photos from out here before where these trees were just blood red. And these just electric yellows. I am a sucker though for these stupid leaves. I would do that. I would go on one of those leaf changing tours that they take to like Vermont or Maine where old women go and drink wine. It's got a mouthful of bugs. My bigger point was that this is just it's a very cool area. It wasn't what I was expecting at all. And now this club is just kind of, it's like a comfortable place. It's kind of there's a few stages in this world, and I think we all have them as comics, that you've just been playing for so long that they might as well be home. And this is one of them. And this is a clip from one of the shows this week. Thank you for a fantastic time, Ottawa. And you too, Vanier. What's the craziest thing she did in 3.5 years? Or 3 years, I'm sorry.
She pretended to kill herself.
She pretended to kill herself? I know, look at... Here's the thing, you said that there was a multitude of reactions that just happened right now. So many different things just happened. Some people went, oh my God, I've been through the same thing. Which is what I did. And then some of you went, oh my God, what the
What are you talking about? And then some women went, I haven't tried that yet. Dude, that's the worst. That's the worst. So she pretended? Like, how did she pretend? Like, did she lay real still? What?
She had her mom invite you to the funeral.
She had her mom invite you to the funeral?
It's funny because I'm now revisiting some of that material for the new special. It was stuff I let go of, wrote a whole new show, and now I'm looking at cannibalizing some of that stuff. So one of the things you might note is the production quality between those old Slade Runner videos and even this latest one, which is still probably a year or two old. Toronto has been, I've been coming up here for now 16 years, I think. I was talking to an old friend. Fans become friends. So Chuck, if you're watching, thank you so much for dinner the other night. And it was, sometimes you just need to hear the certain things. And Chuck, you said some things I kind of needed to hear. I've been struggling with the way we're ending the Whiskey Brothers podcast and how I'm focusing on some different things. And it was just good to hear some of the benefit that the past endeavors have brought, if that makes any sense. So this next episode, we'll watch it in almost its entirety, is from Toronto. And there were some very cool experiences since I've been here. One includes a very rare book. And then I am passionately in love with the foliage of Ontario in autumn. So there is, just up the street from where I stay when I'm here, is Mount Pleasant Cemetery. And it's beautiful. I go on walks there every time I'm in town. Rain, shine, summer, winter, fall, it does not matter. But particularly in the fall, it's one of the most beautiful places you can imagine. It's a fairy tale world. So that said, here is Toronto through my eyes. So this year I'm taking a totally different subway stop. I'm getting off the University of Toronto and I'm going to the Thomas Fisher Rare Book Library. What does a rare book library have in it? Well, manuscripts and early editions of Charles Darwin, some of the original Margaret Atwood manuscripts. She's the Handmaid's Tale lady. Poetry and notes from Leonard Cohen. I'm here to see a very special edition of Alice in Wonderland, and also the notes of a pretty impressive Canadian, an overachiever, if you will, the discoverer and youngest Nobel laureate in physiology and medicine, or these things. I need a teleprompter if you're gonna put all these big words out. At 32 years old, this Nobel laureate led a somewhat impressive life. Like any 14-year-old kid, his friend Jane got the diabetes and he went, "Why, Lord, why?" And then he dedicated his life to solving Jane's problem in post. So he went through a lot of dogs, but he also fought in World War I, and then he came back and worked on this some more. Some more dogs were probably involved. And then World War II, after he had already won the Nobel Prize, just in his off time, he ended up killed in World War II at like 40-something years old. And I'm making YouTube videos. So in 1969, Random House decided to tap Salvador Dali to do a series of illustrations for a version of Alice in Wonderland. They released 2,700 copies of this book, and up until recently, you couldn't even see like a reprint. So the big version is here, a full-blown, unbound, hand-signed by Dali version, and they're just gonna let me touch it. Just me, not even checking me for Cheeto fingers, just, the Canadians are so friendly. It's a bit, pun kind of intended, surreal to see these artists combine in this way. And you see elements of Dali all throughout the illustrations. The girl skipping rope who illustrates Alice is frequently displayed in other block prints of his. Also the clock from Persistence of Memory that you can see in the Mad Hatter's Tea Party. They're a perfect match. It's incredible what they'll let you do if you just ask. I couldn't have picked a better day to visit after an afternoon of being inside this dark cathedral-like library. I'm back out into the brilliant sun of Ontario. So I leave to go find a tree to sleep under, because if you don't do that, you're some sort of inhuman monster, which by definition is inhuman. You monster, monstrous monster. I'm not, so I went and did this. Autumn leaves are one of the few things I don't think are overly romanticized. The weather, the colors, it's something special to be in a place like this at this time of year. We'll come back to Toronto for the prettiest part, but I'm also in Ottawa for part of this tour. And I can think of very few places on this planet that make me as happy as the Dominion Arboretum around the shores of Dow's Lake, especially in October. It's a bit windy and a bit goosey, so this may be kind of loud, but this is Dow's Lake. And it's almost winter, so the water is much lower than usual. All the way down Rideau Canal, it'll ice over, and it's ice skating all winter long. It's really, really, really beautiful. But they lower the water level in Dow's Lake so that it freezes easier and kids don't fall through the ice and die in the frozen water and get eaten by geese, fish, or whatever else is out there. It's beautiful in the winter, but I'm not going. I'm not built for it. I would 1000% die. There's nothing to do except sit in whatever room you got trapped in when the winter came and order pizzas from very brave delivery drivers. So everywhere I go, it's just a crayon box. Back in Toronto, I visit Mount Pleasant Cemetery. I find it impossible not to listen to classical music when I'm in a place like this. You'd think it'd be more appropriate to find something Canadian, like Alanis or Bryan Adams, or the Arkells, or the Glorious Sons, or Our Lady Peace, or I Mother Earth, or Rush, perhaps. Definitely not that other band. It sounds like a dumb way to chase a whiskey shot. So let me step out of the way and leave you with some stringed instruments and some of my favorite views from this tour. Thanks again, Canada. We'll do it again. And should you like any of that, there are 28 or 29 other episodes following me around the world. So you should go look. They've got their own playlist, and the link is down in the show notes. I We'll be back, hopefully another episode next week. I am trying desperately to get this show back on schedule, but my tour schedule has been a bit nuts. I will be on tour again at the end of July and into August in Texas. Full dates are at sladeham.com. And thank you guys for all of your patience and your love and your comments and your messages and your help as I do what I do. I'm Slade Ham, and this is the Slade Ham Experiment.